In today's Disneyland photo tip of the day, we will learn how to minimize the impact of a crowd and add some movement and visual excitement to photos using Photoshop elements. We're going to do this by applying a motion blur over the crowd. This will make it look like we used a very slow shutter speed and that the crowd is just whizzing by. I'm using a JPEG file of a picture my wife took in Fantasyland using a simple point-and-shoot camera. The first thing we're going to do is go over to our background image and right-click on it and create a duplicate layer. When this little window comes up, click OK. Then we're going to go to Filter, Blur, and Motion Blur. In this window that comes up, you can see we have a couple choices to make. We can change the angle of the blur to match the direction that the crowd is moving simply by turning this dial. Since they're going left to right, we're going to leave this set at about 0. Then we can change the movement of the crowd and how extreme they move by using this slider here, their distance. You can see that it can go from no movement to an extreme movement. For this picture, I want to set it somewhere around 166 or so, about there, and click OK. Over here you can see we have a blurred image and our original clear background image. Next we're going to click on the background image and create a levels adjustment layer by clicking on this little white button down here and on levels. Then we're going to click on our background copy, this one up here, and create what is called a clipping group on the image below by clicking Control G. You can see that moves it over just a little bit. Then we're going to click on our levels layer, this little white box here, and now we're going to paint with black to reveal the clear image below. So over here we make sure our foreground color is set to black by clicking on this little arrow, making this the foreground color set to black, and making sure up here our opacity is set to 100%. Since the crowd's a pretty small part of the image, I'm going to go to my brush size slider up here and choose a very large brush size and just paint over the entire image to make it clear. And then what I can do is paint over just the crowd to give them the blurred effect. And we're just going to zip back and forth and paint over this, making the whole image clear. There we go. Then we're just going to click over here to our foreground color and set it to white. Make our brush a bit smaller, somewhere around 250 pixels, and we're just going to paint over the crowd, giving them the blurred effect. And we're going to do this just a little bit at a time, because if we mess up and hit something that we don't want to, say that, all I have to do is hit undo, and I only lose a very small amount of work. And we don't want to blur the parts that are still, like the concrete or the ride, just the people, to make it appear that they are moving. And especially this stroller here that is the bane of every photographer in Disneyland because they're in every photograph it seems that you take, especially during the daytime. That one there. And if we did blur something we don't want to, like this little pole here, little bits of the chain, all we have to do is set our foreground color to black again. We'll make our brush size much smaller, and we can just paint over those little things, making them clear. Just like that. And now we just click on File, Save As. We'll call this the Fantasyland Blur, and save it as a JPEG. Save. And OK. And there we have it. A quick and easy way to give movement to an image and make the crowd actually work for you instead of being a distraction. This is Michael Greening with another Disneyland photo tip of the day, wishing you happy snapping.